A nation divided, the Syrian Civil War. The Syrian Civil War is one of the most devastating conflicts of the 21st century. It began in 2011. Protests erupted against President Bashar al-Assad. These protests were part of the Arab Spring. Demonstrators wanted democracy and more freedom. The Assad regime responded with brutal force. This ignited a civil war that has raged for over a decade. The conflict quickly escalated. Different groups within Syria took up arms. Foreign powers got involved, supporting different sides. The war has created a complex web of alliances and rivalries. Millions of Syrians have been displaced, both internally and as refugees in neighboring countries. The conflict has had a devastating impact on Syrian society. Cities have been reduced to rubble. The economy is in shambles. The humanitarian crisis is dire. Millions of Syrians are in need of food, water, and medical care. The Syrian Civil War is a tragedy on an epic scale. It is a stark reminder of the human cost of conflict and the fragility of peace. The international community has struggled to find a solution to the crisis. The war continues to this day, with no end in sight. Key players, a complex web of alliances. The Syrian Civil War is characterized by a multitude of factions, each with its own agenda. Understanding these key players is crucial to grasping the complexities of the conflict. The Syrian Arab Republic under President Bashar al-Assad represents one of the main factions. The SAA receives support from Russia and Iran. Opposing the Assad regime is a diverse array of groups collectively known as the Syrian opposition. Among them are the Syrian National Army, backed by Turkey, and Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, an Islamist group. The Syrian Democratic Forces, a Kurdish-led militia, has emerged as a significant force. Adding to the complexity is the Islamic State, a jihadist group. IS exploited the chaos of the civil war to seize territory in Syria and Iraq. While significantly weakened, IS remains a threat. The involvement of foreign powers further complicates the situation. Russia's military intervention in 2015 bolstered the Assad regime. Iran has provided substantial support to the SAA. Turkey, concerned about Kurdish influence, has launched military operations in northern Syria. The Kurdish factor, the SDF and International Support. The Syrian Democratic Forces has become a pivotal player in the Syrian conflict. The SDF is a multi-ethnic alliance, but its core is made up of Kurdish fighters. The SDF has been a key ally of the United States in the fight against IS. The SDF's effectiveness against IS and its secular democratic ideology earned its support from Western powers. The United States provided the SDF with weapons, training, and air support. This partnership proved crucial in the territorial defeat of IS in Syria. However, the SDF's success has also fueled tensions with Turkey. Turkey views the SDF's dominant Kurdish faction, the People's Protection Units, as an extension of the Kurdistan Workers' Party, which it considers a terrorist organization. Turkey fears that the SDF's control of territory along its border could embolden Kurdish separatists within its own borders. Turkey has launched military operations against the SDF in northern Syria, seeking to limit its influence. This has put the United States in a difficult position, caught between its NATO ally Turkey and its Kurdish partners on the ground. Section 4. U.S. involvement, a delicate balancing act. The U.S. has been deeply involved in the Syrian Civil War, albeit in a limited capacity. Initially, the U.S. provided non-lethal aid to Syrian rebel groups opposed to the Assad regime. However, as the conflict escalated and IS emerged as a major threat, the U.S. shifted its focus to counterterrorism. The U.S. launched airstrikes against IS targets in Syria and provided support to local forces fighting the group. The partnership with the SDF proved particularly effective in combating IS. However, U.S. involvement has been met with criticism from various quarters. Some argue that the U.S. has not done enough to address the humanitarian crisis or to find a political solution to the conflict. Others criticize the U.S.'s alliance with the SDF, which has strained relations with Turkey. The U.S. presence in Syria remains a point of contention in the region. The Biden administration has sought to reduce the U.S. military footprint in the Middle East, including in Syria. However, the U.S. continues to maintain a small military presence in eastern Syria to support the SDF and prevent an IS resurgence. The U.S. also provides humanitarian assistance to those affected by the conflict. Section 5. A fragile peace, the future of Syria. The Syrian Civil War has entered its second decade with no end in sight. While the intensity of fighting has decreased in recent years, a lasting peace remains elusive. The country is fragmented, with different factions controlling various territories. Millions of Syrians remain displaced, both internally and as refugees in neighboring countries. The humanitarian crisis is dire, with millions in need of basic necessities. The Assad regime, though weakened, remains in power, but its grip on the country is tenuous. The involvement of foreign powers continues to complicate the situation. Russia, Iran, and Turkey all have a significant military presence in Syria and are pursuing their own strategic interests. The US, while seeking to reduce its involvement, remains a player in the conflict. The future of Syria remains uncertain. The country faces daunting challenges, including rebuilding its shattered infrastructure, healing deep societal divisions, and achieving political reconciliation. The international community has a responsibility to support the Syrian people in their quest for peace and stability.